Whoever the founder is, he must be on drugs all the time. I mean, it's mind-blowing, it's genius, absolutely artistic. Hold on, what is actually going on? Hello everyone, welcome back to Niche Talk. Today I want to review one of my favorite perfume brands called Orto Parisi, a brand that its own founder, Alessandro Gualtieri, describes with two words: attraction and repulsion. If there is one perfumer that I would really want to meet, it would be this guy. Working in the industry, as I'm sure some of you already know, especially working for a company, for a brand, you don't get much opportunity for an extravagant creative process that I'm sure Alessandro had a drive for. Typically, as a perfumer working for a brand, what happens is you get a project brief, and based on extensive marketing studies, the brief describes the perfume that you need to create, the range of materials that you can use, and your target audience. For example, this fragrance is for a modern mom going out on a Friday night for a quick drink with other working moms. Something along those lines. Alessandro was done with that approach. His taste for strong, controversial scents really called for creative freedom, so he moved to Amsterdam. He moved to Amsterdam, rightly titled himself as a scent artist, and started his own line in 2008 called Nasomato. Nasomato in Italian means crazy nose. And it's a genius brand, and I'm sure we'll review it in the upcoming videos. But today I want to focus on Orto Parisi. Orto Parisi was launched a little bit later in 2014, but it's as much of a masterpiece as Nasomato. So let's get started. The project itself is dedicated to Alessandro's grandfather, Vincenzo Parisi, who had a vegetable garden, which is orto in Italian. So Orto Parisi, in the most literal way, means my grandfather's garden. And you might be thinking, well, what's so controversial about this? Well, in this case, the vegetable garden was not just about the vegetables. The olfactive manifesto of the brand is rooted in the memory of collecting human needs in buckets and using them to fertilize the soil of the garden. Yep. If we dig a little bit deeper, we also learned that Alessandro's father was a butcher in Milan. So, summarizing all these experiences, he draws on smells of raw meat, blood, earthy odors, and all kinds of body fluids to come to believe that the smelliest parts of our body is where the most soul lives. The Orto Parisi collection has 9 beautiful scents, and today I want to review 5 of my favorites. But first, let's talk about the olfactory experience that we get with this brand right here. What exactly goes into these magic potions? The answer is no one knows. No answer. But one thing I can certainly tell you about this whole line is that every fragrance will have something very unique about its formula that will draw you in like crazy. Some people say Alessandro uses a molecular version of a horse pee and other non-conventional components. It is quite possible because each scent has a very sensual, sexy, animalic kick that you just can't describe. These fragrances are a powerhouse. They're very intense. They have an enormous sillage that will last for an eternity. 7 to 9 hours on average, but some even more. Most certainly, to me, Orto Parisi is about a strong, almost brutal, masculine character, although ladies are guaranteed to be attracted by these fragrances and can certainly pull them off. And I'm actually going to start with the most obvious example of that, a fragrance called Seminalis. Seminalis means semen in Latin. The type of the response that this fragrance typically instantly creates is either love or hate. And I don't know if it's the name that creates that immediate bias toward the scent, so it's almost up to every person's moral code to react in a certain way. But no matter what it is, this perfume right here is most certainly an intriguing masterpiece. It opens up with warm and seductive creaminess. I wouldn't call it thick, oily, sugary, syrupy, none of that, although there's definitely some sweetness to it. But I would actually compare it to cream soda. Cream soda, where you experience milkiness and a bit of freshness at the same time. The heart of this fragrance is built around the floral accord, along the lines with Lily of the Valley, although keep in mind that we don't know exactly, we can only speculate what the ingredients are. And the base is absolutely cuddly and soul-warming. There's definitely some vanilla undertones, but to me what comes across particularly obviously are patchouli and sandalwood. Why semen? It was scientifically proven that an ovary releases some type of scent that helps sperm to locate it. Seminalis contains a synthetically derived aromatic compound that mocks that exact smell. I'm pretty sure a lot of you right now go, how do you know what kind of smell ovaries produce? How do you measure that? How do you then formulate it? Well, guess what? Perfumery nowadays is as much of a scientific process as understanding and studying a human's body. So technically, everything is possible. You might believe in it, you might not believe in it, but regardless, Seminalis is all about pure act of creating a new life through love. It's tender, it's caring, welcoming, protecting. It's love in a bottle. Bergamask. Just punches your nose. The fragrance opens up with a bright citrus accord, led by bergamot. As the time passes by, you get that sweet, musky addition to the whole storyline of the fragrance there. It's unique in a sense that the initial composition that hits your nose develops altogether. Over time, you get surprised with the evolution of this whole formula on your skin, but at no point of wearing this fragrance, you are able to detach top notes from the heart notes, from the base notes, even the citrus, right? And it's very interesting because in my experience, I've never seen a fragrance that would keep its citrusy side for such a long time. We know that lemon, bergamot, lime molecules are very volatile, so they are the first one to exit the composition, but not here. In Bergamask, bergamot is very well defined even after 8 hours of wearing the fragrance on your skin, and it's actually amazing. Bergamask is inspired by festivities that Alessandro once encountered in an Italian village called Bergamo. People were having fun, there was traditional dancing happening, and the smell of sweating, warm bodies almost touching each other in the dance, that musky scent in the air was getting mixed up with the smell of bergamot trees growing around the area. And altogether, that created the olfactive inspiration for Bergamask. Up next, we have Boccanera. Boccanera in Italian means dark mouth. Now, the question is, what do you think could be a dark mouth of a human body? To facilitate brainstorming there, I'll show you the artwork that Alessandro provides to complement the presentation of this fragrance. Butthole. Yes. Now, let's track back to the brand's manifesto. The smelliest parts of our body is where the most soul lives. Do things start making a little sense now? I hope they do, because if not, too bad. We're about to continue discovering the Orto Parisi extravaganza and you'll get even more shocked. But anyway, Boccanera. So good. Does not smell like a dirty butt. In fact, for my gourmand fragrance lovers out there, I would say that it's a must-have. It's the richness of dark chocolate on an expensive leather plate or expensive leather surface. Again, this is not a sugary situation that this fragrance here creates. And to speculate about the ingredients, in the top notes here, I get spiciness. I hear the black pepper, very warm, pungent, aromatic, and sometime after, chocolate kicks in. Here, I refer to an expensive dark chocolate bar, which when you open up the package and you smell the package, you get that very profound, almost dirty bitterness from it. So if Seminalis was about a pure act of love making, very romantic, Boccanera is about seduction and desire. Alluring, rich, I would say it could still be a little romantic, but definitely spiced up with some dirty thoughts. Okay, it's about time that you start understanding and really thinking about the manifesto of the brand, because from butthole we move to what comes out of it. Stercus. Poop. How does shit smell so good? I don't get it. I don't get it. Very round and soft in the opening. What I get is the almond aldehyde accord, which just hugs you. And I also get a bit of whiskey notes in it. But then give it 40-60 seconds and it shifts. It shifts so suddenly that you almost go like, what happened to my poop? From very round, it turns into a more earthy, aromatic, sharp experience, which builds the foundation for the entry of a very, again, very rich, sensual, leather, woody accord. Cedar and agar wood, as speculated by some of the experts. I've tried this fragrance on my skin so many times, and I can tell you, 30 minutes in, the sweetness, muskiness, nuttiness, and creaminess start coming back. And at that point, you're just, wow. Like, how is it even possible, such evolution of a fragrance? I personally have never seen anything like this before. If you noticed, Bergamask had something intriguing about the progression of the formula. right? There we mentioned that the whole composition, rather than being a very steady evolution from top to heart to base, it sort of like kicks in all at once, and it progresses and it changes all together as the time passes by. The interest and the main curiosity behind Stercus, behind this fragrance, is an absolutely random shift of experience. So where does this artistic creation come from? Well, let's remember what's behind Orto Parisi, the garden, right? It's earthy, aromatic, Mother Nature, where the wet soil is fertilized in the old-fashioned way. You remember what old-fashioned way it was. I referred to it in the beginning. So yes, it does smell animalic. It does have some sort of fecal smell to it that actually makes the garden bloom. It opens up with a mix of bitterness and spiciness, which to me sounds like wasabi. Then the scent dives into the world of leather. As opposed to many other leather fragrances that exist on the market today, this guy right here is not clouded by florals and spices. It's pure, raw, authentic leather. And it's also probably the paramount of an oud fragrance and the paramount of that animalic nature of a human's body scent. For that reason, I believe that if we look back at the manifesto of Orto Parisi, that our soul lives in the smelliest parts of our body, I can imagine that Alessandro would say that Cuoium is the most soulful fragrance in the entire line. The olfactory experience of Orto Parisi is indeed an interchangeable dynamic of something gross and appealing. Every fragrance, be it Seminalis or Stercus, creates that tension in your perception between attraction, curiosity, and repulsion. It's truly the most avant-garde brand in the perfume industry today, which is based on the idea of rejecting the boring, formal, stiff, and sadly, sometimes fake niche quality of many expensive brands. Alessandro is a talented perfumer. He's a very smart businessman, but most importantly, he's a hard-working master, carefully crafting every single element of his fragrances, from juice to bottles, to packaging and visual presentation. He has no fear to shock and defy conventional canons that prevent the evolution of the amazing industry of fragrance making.